Welcome everyone to this Tuesday, January 22nd's Daly City Recreation Commission meeting. And for those wishing to address the Recreation Commission on any item on the agenda or under public appearance, oral communications, please complete a speaker card located in the entrance of the City Council chambers and submit to staff as early in the meeting as possible. And also, persons with disabilities who require auxiliary aids or services in attending or participating in this meeting should call the Department of Library and Recreation Services as soon as possible prior to the meeting. May I have everyone stand for the pledge to the flag, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. May we have the roll call, Joseph?
Absolutely.
Okay.
On this glorious day where we have all five of you here.
Hold on a moment.
Commissioner Flamenco.
Here.
Commissioner Landos.
Present.
Commissioner Luna.
Here.
Vice Chair Sison.
Not guilty.
Chair Pastor.
Here. Okay.
All present and accounted for.
All right. May I have a motion to approve this evening's agenda, please?
Motion approved.
Okay. Those in favor of approving this evening's agenda, do say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. And also the approval of the previous minutes of October and November of this past year. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I move for the approval of the minutes.
Okay. Those in favor of approving those minutes, do say aye.
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 Okay.
I didn't hear a second.
Oh, second.
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 Yeah. And those in favor, do say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. First item on the agenda is the reorganization of this commission. And being that we just had an election of new council members on the board, I like to put a motion in there to, or seek a motion to put off the reorganization of this commission until we hear from the council on their wishes going forward. So do I have a motion to approve putting off until the next meeting, this reorganization?
Yeah.
Okay, got a motion?
Yes.
All right, and those in favor of putting it off till the next meeting, do say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, moving on to director's report.
Good evening, Chair Pastor
Yes.
and members of the Commission. Today we have a very special guest. We will all be meeting her together. This is my first time to meet her. It's Cynthia Nakayama from the Center for Age-Friendly Excellence, known by the acronym CAFE. And she is here tonight to make a presentation to us about the Center for Age-Friendly Excellence and advancing livable communities for all generations. And with that, I introduce Ms. Cynthia Nakayama.
Okay. Welcome.
Hello.
As Joseph mentioned, my name is Cynthia Nakayama. I'm a credentialed professional gerontologist as well as an associate director with the Center for Age-Friendly Excellence, or as we like to call it, CAFE. It's really wonderful to be here this evening to talk to you about the Age-Friendly Initiative as well as what CAFE does and to answer any questions you may have at the end. This is really wonderful screens. So, age-friendly really means friendly for all ages. But because our city's infrastructures are catering more toward working people, it has become much more important to focus on the unmet needs of older adults. In fact, by 2050, older adults will represent 22% of the world's population, and 2/3 of these will live within the city limits. This is a critical factor because this needs to be considered whenever we're making planning decisions or citywide decisions. When the World Health Organization realized that the older adult population was growing so fast many years ago, they decided they would do a worldwide study on older adults. And what they found was that there are 8 main areas or domains where there are needs that are unmet. And these are transportation, housing, outdoor spaces and buildings, social participation, social respect and inclusion, as well as health information and communication. There will be a slide that lists all of these later. The World Health Organization, which the guidelines we follow, was founded in 2005. There are actually over 760 cities worldwide that are in their network right now. So it's really grown, and people are realizing more and more that there's a need for this. And as gerontologists, we understand that the ecological context really matters, which means that your environmental impact. We are impacted by our environment as we grow up, but this becomes even more important as we grow older because our worlds become smaller for many different reasons. So it's important to have a holistic approach. And here are the 8 domains. And many of you are probably familiar with these, especially transportation and housing, because all of these are important. However, we only have so much time today. I'll just cover a few of them and give you some examples of what some other cities are doing. I apologize, I've run out of brochures and I was going to bring some, and I realized that we've really been using them a lot lately, so I don't have them today. So if we look at one domain, outdoor spaces and buildings, and focus on a few of these examples, something like non-slip walkways. I think many of us know that seniors, if they fall, this can be a life-changing experience for them. Or if they want to go for a walk, then they may need a place to sit down and take a break. So public seating is important. Easy to read signs with letters that are big enough, or lighting that is good as it gets darker is also very important. And just as an example, Saratoga decided to have a project called the 2020 Trees by 2020 Challenge. And even though it's only been about a year, this has proven to create much more shade, a greener environment, and also beautifying their environment because many of the families chose flowering trees. This is on transportation, but it really means mobility because it's much more than driving. We want to have walkable cities, bike paths in areas, accessible transportation, and of course, we're all looking forward to self-driving cars that are safe. San Jose has put their Lincoln Avenue on a road diet, so they removed one vehicle lane and replaced it with a bike lane and an additional left turn lane. And then housing. We are all highly aware of the need for more affordable, accessible, and available housing, not just here, especially here in Silicon Valley, but throughout the nation. The homelessness situation is beyond a crisis, and it's something we live with on a daily basis. We see or hear about this all the time. This is a big issue that is not easily remedied. So this is a project that would take a while. It's not a short-term project. Right now, also in San Jose, they are helping the residents of mobile homes to avoid displacement because this has become a problem. And social participation and respect and social inclusion, I think, go really well together, so I'm combining them. As many of you have heard, isolation is the new smoking. And I really believe that ageism is going strong. One of the quotes that I heard a long time ago, and it really stays with me today, is the aged are the only population who are prejudiced against themselves. It really rang a bell with me because it's so true, especially in this country. I know when my father was about to move into an assisted living facility, his first comment was, "These people are so old," and they were the same age, but I think I'm not the only one that experiences this with their parents. So there's a couple of things we're doing. For example, in Los Altos, when they did focus groups there, they found out that the older adults did not want to roll up the sidewalks and stay at home at night. They wanted some activities to go to. So they started a pop-up nightclub called Club 55 and Up that's held in the Costume Bank patio with live music, and it's free. You could just bring a bottle of wine or some beer or a non-alcoholic beverage. And it used to be a very small group that would gather, but now it's over 100. People come from other cities. In fact, Morgan Hill liked that idea so much that they created their own called Prime Lifers that they hold in the El Toro restaurant. One program in Cafe is called Project SIP, Senior Inclusion and Participation Project. And this is a focus on isolated seniors. They partner with the block action teams that are local who go visit seniors, and then they can notice whether they have anybody who actually picks them up to go to doctor appointments or socialize, or even just to watch out for them. They invite people to their events that are tech events, creativity days, or sometimes their brunches. And this allows the seniors to get out and to get together and to learn and have fun. When I was recently in Japan, I really was amazed by the great food they have in their convenience stores. It's pretty surprising, including 7-Eleven. But it wasn't until I got home that I found out 7-Eleven has a nationwide program that caters to seniors. And what they do is they have something like a Meals on Wheels delivery program that delivers healthy meals to these isolated seniors. They even have a dietitian on staff to make sure these are healthy. And some stores have designated areas so that seniors can socialize and gather together. There are even senior apartment complexes where they have a store that's kind of really close by so that they don't have to go too far to get their food. So as you can see, there are many different ways to become age-friendly and different ways to approach the different domains depending on your city's needs. So as far as the age-friendly process, it's really an initial 5-year commitment. It's all about intention. The planning stage, which can be year 1 and 2, includes an assessment of what your city's needs are. Once the city is accepted into the network of age-friendly communities, they implement, or you would implement, your projects until year 5, and then provide a report to the World Health Organization to show improvement, accomplishment, and that you've made progress. So it's really a process of continual improvement and assessment and intention. And this just emphasizes the commitment to the age friendliness that the city would have. CAFWay does the initial part of the process. It's the first step. So we help you create an age-friendly task force, and Daly City currently has a strong task force that's been pulled together. This task force has a high involvement in creating the focus groups that we we have usually at least 2 focus groups, depending on the diversity of the city. So it's mainly service providers or professionals that work with residents here in the city, and the other would be older adults. So you can divide those focus groups. If you have a high demographic, you could have a focus group just on that. And if a different language were needed, we could find an interpreter to do that focus group. After these are completed, CAFE does a report and provides it back to the task force so that they can decide what kinds of ideas can we come up with, what kinds of short-term and long-term projects would make sense to implement to address these needs. And CAFE is always there every step of the way. We meet with you like every month for maybe 5 or 6 months, and this is part of it to help you come up with some project ideas, whether they're short or long-term, because when you submit the application, you want to make sure that they're not too lofty, because you need to show progress within your first 5 years. So we usually start with things that maybe you're already doing, but could also be applied to age-friendly, or something that is a smaller project that you can show progress on. Then we help you put together the application, and the application is submitted to WHO. It really depends, because more and more cities want to become age-friendly now. We're finding that it's taking longer to get approved because they have so many. So maybe up to 2 months. I mean, it's not it's not that long, but it could take up to 2 months or so. When you're an age-friendly city, it generates economic benefits. There are studies on these economic benefits. If you'd like to see them, I can send them to you. There is I guess 2 that were done in Greater Kansas, the Greater Kansas region, that really showed how keeping older adults in your city helps the economy, or bringing in more older adults, which is opposed to what many people would think. Social capital, if you apply for grants, it's attractive to be an age-friendly city. And of course, the infrastructure innovations would come out of that, I think, not as an obvious part of a solution. And of course, your community becomes more healthy because it's catering to so many different ages now. It has been shown that when they improved the cities for, say, mothers, it made it better for older adults also, because the sidewalks became wider. The curves were not just, they're called cut curves, so that it's easier to go up and down the sidewalks. So those are the types of things that come out of it. I think everybody would agree that the domains aren't necessarily self-inclusive, that they impact each other. This is especially the case with transportation, because in order to get to your doctor appointments and take care of your health, or to get to your events that you'd like to go to, or educational events, to learn more, you need transportation somehow. So this impacts all of your life, your ability to actually live your life. We recently worked with Santa Clara County so that all of the cities in that county, as well as the county itself, have become age-friendly. This is the first in the nation to do this, and San Mateo, we're expecting to be next. So how does this tie into Daly City? Because that's the most important thing. And you already have so many great services in place, and it's on 2 slides because there's so many. So, such as the Congregate Nutrition Program at the Senior Center and Lincoln Park Community Center, as well as the blood pressure and blood sugar screenings, fall prevention workshops, mature driving programs through ARP, Walkabout at Ceremony Shopping Center, arts and crafts classes, dance and low-impact fitness classes. So clearly you have some great activities for socialization. I also noticed there was a master plan for parks and open space. There's some programs toward enhanced pedestrian bicycle visibility, as well as another bicycle pedestrian improvement in Central Corridor. So definitely you have some momentum already. So just to wrap up, an age-friendly city is an inclusive and accessible urban environment that promotes active aging. And our mission as CAFE is to advance transformational change to create vibrant, sustainable, supportive, and inclusive communities for all generations. So I hope that provided some information that you may not have had before. Do you have any questions?
I do. So I'm a freelancer and I have take care of elderly in 2 occasions, and they did had some accidents, like you say, they isolate, and in those both cases that I have my own experience, they were living by themselves, and that's something that I notice is pretty common here. More in 2020, there is going to be less housing, and obviously they might be isolated, that they're just gonna deal by themselves. So in those 2 situations, they died because of an accident, and they didn't have any, the electronic thing that is available. So I think that can be a good project. I mean, I noticed that it's hard for them to apply sometimes, for them to have that thing monthly. I don't know what way it could be a good idea. I don't know. I'm just throwing at you the idea.
Great idea. And what happens is that based on the focus groups, we really discover what seniors are saying, this is what we need now, and it's not available, or this is what we need more of. And maybe the service providers will say, this is what we keep seeing in the people that we serve. And so this is what comes out of it, and we together can integrate what those issues are and figure out some really good projects that come out of it. Because it's a whole group that's talking about it and becoming familiar with what's needed, it promotes kind of bigger ideas when talking together. I know that is a big problem, to have isolated seniors have accidents. And like in other countries, it's very unusual over here, maybe 1, maybe 2 places where they have an intergenerational housing.
Correct, yeah.
Yes. And so what they may do is people in skilled nursing have students who also can't afford a lot for their rent, but they all live in this skilled nursing facility. The students become the eyes of some of the older seniors who can't go out, and maybe the student is able to provide also some joy and bring the outside in for that person who's kind of isolated. And it's more social. For instance, this one student said, oh yeah, well, they wanted to have fish for dinner, so I just, bicycled over to the market that night and brought it back so that we could have dinner together. And it really serves, it's very social and kind of gets the endorphins going for the older adult, because they don't get to go out as much. It also helps with chores sometimes if a family, maybe part of a family is living on one floor and the senior is living on the lower floor, but avoids that isolated feeling where you don't have anybody who's looking out for you if you don't have a family nearby. But it will really depend on what your city decides. Is there anything else?
I think going back to what she was saying is that I've come across sometimes people that speak different languages. We can also input some of the information, so not just being isolated of what language I speak when everyone's talking about one, understanding. trying to share the same communication. Also, if you know anyone that's out there that's isolated, doesn't want to be with anyone, they're missing a lot of the experience to actually sit with someone in a different place, have a coffee, have a lunch together with some. So probably with groups of friends and other people to grow this communication that you're trying to pass out, reach these people in different strategies as well.
Exactly. Yes, culture and ethnicity are issues in certain cities, and many of them in California, so that there's an acknowledgement that there is a need for information in different languages, or being able to communicate with maybe the leader of that community, because some cultures respond more to somebody that they already trust. So there's different ways, and it is very important to get the word out. Also for the senior centers to have the information in different languages, so that even if you're not going, maybe your friend goes, or your family can go pick up the information and bring it back to you and provide it that way. I know that, some also say, oh, if the information was on television and the programs that certain ethnicities watch, that's another way to get the word out, because it really depends on how people get their news.
Correct. And also is what is it that we are not doing that probably we should be doing, using our intel, our minds together. What informations do we need so we can actually seek these other seniors and get more people involved in us?
Yes, definitely. That's a great point.
Well, Cynthia, thank you for your presentation. You said when I was watching the slides and what have you, I know that you're light on brochures. Maybe if you can refer us to maybe your website where we can take a look at that PowerPoint that you just put up there.
Oh, sure.
And
well, I think you have it now.
yeah, okay. Yes,
I
for
can certainly
after.
arrange to send it to all of you.
Right. Okay. Thank you. And it's just to pick up on what Luis mentioned in terms of reaching out to those who don't think that they really need this service, or just too proud to ask for the service, or whose family have just overlooked them, and now they're just there by themselves without no contact from anyone. You hear different stories of what's going on sometimes in our own neighborhood of that, and you're just surprised how close it is when it hits home. So it's very important that we reach as many folks as we can within our community to spread the word. I mean, for the viewing audience, this is probably the first time you've heard of age-friendly, but from what we just presented, it's been going on, adopted in Santa Clara County.
Yes.
And I think that was the first big county that took it on and that was approved in this area?
County that took it on, but it was the first county that achieved having all cities in the county as well as the county
Yeah,
become age-friendly.
that's good.
So there's cities like New York, Hawaii, just all around the world,
Right.
because there's 760 cities
And,
now.
thank you for pointing out how Daly City, in a way, is already on board with some of their various programs to kind of like blend in to the World Health Organization's program of age friendly. So,
Of course,
thank you.
yeah, because you clearly are already doing some things about it, but sometimes it's good to know what's already being done.
right, that's good. Well, thank you again.
Thank you so much for being open.
I have one more comment. I was reading a report recently about how kids involved with senior centers is helping both groups. So that will be also another,
Yes, definitely the
tryout.
intergenerational. The SIP program that I mentioned before, they have high school students or sometimes the Boy Scouts come to these tech events and help them use their iPads and their phones. And it's just really a great, time for everyone, so that the older adults, when they're leaving, they're so excited. It's really great to see that, and they want to come back again. So I think that the person who to manage this program, she doesn't have enough time to do as many as there's demand for, I think. So,
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to give you a perspective,
Yes,
because I lived in Europe for 20 years.
yes.
And then I moved around, and most of the development is centered on the family generational. So I think a big percent of the population do not go too far away from their parents. And then it's actually a crime to put them in a nursing home there. It's just unacceptable. So it's subsidized. It's a social democracy,
Right.
which is contrary to the capitalist, I mean, so the funding there, the education is free. In fact, Germany legislated recently, 2 years ago, that even for foreigners, tuition fee is free. So kids don't have to move to another state to get a grant, so they stay where they are. And then the people who are living together are also subsidized. So the kids, and then the trams, the thing, I think on weekends there are no cars. I think Singapore already tried that. So Friday, and then there's no work on Sundays. Nobody works. Because everybody needs to, right? Because it's a Christian, based on the Christian, Calvin and Luther. So it's, the Sabbath day of rest. So most shops are closed from 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday, and it opens 8 o'clock on Monday.
I see.
So it's a completely different world.
Yes.
And Amsterdam is actually one of the most livable, I'm sure you know that, cities in Germany and Switzerland. So they don't even, gasolines are expensive, but they have a huge train, tram, right on your doorstep. Here, in fact, it's one of my proposals to the council, because the corners that we have, the parked cars, nobody can see the pedestrian. It's so dangerous. Because it's a blind corner, so even cars is going, and they're already committed. They get a ticket for moving there and causing, and so even the walkability, it's tough here because of cars have what do you call this? In our block, we have about 5 cars per household. That's parked everywhere on sidewalks and everything. So that already is a dangerous thing for the elders, right?
Yes,
So it's a completely different
A completely
concept.
different.
Yeah, I'll stay with that. And
Other countries, so that we would have to have a major change in our country to live like that. But
Yeah.
also, as Mayor Bloomberg said when he was mayor, that if we don't start working on age-friendly now, it may take 50 years, but we won't get there if we don't start now. So I think that's kind of the approach that is good, because it is a long-term goal.
so
If we don't start the practice now,
Yeah.
is what you mean,
it
the
needs
practice.
a political and social and economic. It's tough, but it's a chaotic. For me, I see it as a chaotic. What do you call this? Program, because it's really tough to implement something, because I feel for the elders here. Because they cannot walk, they cannot, they have to have a car, and everybody's
Yeah.
really
It is
disturbed.
small steps. So you look at the most urgent and the
Yeah.
smaller ones that you can do first.
Yeah. So
Time.
start small. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Right. Oh. So,
Yeah.
question to Joseph, seeing this presentation now, is this kind of like the infancy stage of
Yeah.
kind of like incorporated into Daly City's adopting part of this, or?
Yeah, we are working toward, I think the next step would have the mayor's signature.
Yeah.
Oh, that comes near the end, but, yeah.
We're taking
Okay,
steps
Good,
to achieving this, yes.
all right, thank you.
This is one of the boxes we have to check. We should share this with you.
It's a working project, right?
We're all going to be there.
Yeah, and yeah,
Oh, it's faster than others.
yeah.
It's right around the corner for some of us here.
Growing old is inevitable, but
Oh, yeah.
growing up is still an option.
That's right.
Right, Doc?
But Julio, you're always great with the
No.
quotes and analytics.
I have the head for it.
Thank you. Moving on to Commissioner's report, since, we just came back off of a holiday, so welcome back, everyone, to the new year, and belated happy holidays and New Year's to everyone out there in the community. And since then, has anyone on this has had any insights or visits around the community that they, since we took a break in December, that they might have participated in? You'd like to share, or? All right. Well, just,
I know the chair has.
yeah. Just recently, one of our valued employees of our recreation department, Peter Quibel, lucky gentleman, celebrated 39 years of employment here in Daly City in the recreation department.
Congratulations.
Great.
So, Peter, if you're watching, congratulations
God bless you.
on your retirement. And you had a lot of folks there at your retirement celebration about a week ago. And best of luck to you in your new endeavors. And so that happened at the Pacelli Senior Cafe over there, now in the Pacelli area there in Westlake Center. So again, congratulations, Peter. And I know some of you in the community have experienced Peter's work in the various parks that he had, especially Gellert Park and at the Recreation Office. So thank you. Let's see here. We're on to announcements and communications. So before you mention in the list of those, Joseph, I just want to share that for the information of the dais here, January 25th, there's a couple events going on that day, and that's the Lincoln Park reopening ribbon cutting.
Yep.
It's happening at 10 a.m. And also in the afternoon on that same day, it's the Alta Loma Park reopening, where we had a presentation by Mr. Lee. Excuse me, in our November meeting. So ribbon cutting there at the Alta Loma Park.
And the weather is cooperating.
Yeah, we're getting hopefully
Yeah, that's right.
blue skies. now.
Yes, yay.
And again, go ahead, Joseph, with the remainder of our upcoming announcements, and we'll go from
I'm going
there.
to follow your suit and mention two more events that aren't.
Okay, I missed it.
Sunday, February 10th at Pacelli Gym, there's going to be a rock and roll flea market to benefit our Recreation Scholarship Program. It's an interesting concept, way outside of our comfort zone of something we've done before, but there'll be 6 different live bands performing in the gym. 30 vendors selling mostly vinyl records, but also vintage clothing, musical instruments. The Pinball Museum in Alameda is bringing a couple pinball machines in.
Nice.
We'll be providing food for the event through our staff, and our good friends at Gilman Brewing have agreed to supply beer at no
Yay.
cost, so all the beer that we sell will go to the scholarship program.
Yay. Good.
Should be a lot of fun. It's a long, long day.
Yeah.
Record nerds are kind of a weird subculture. We expect that they will roll
good.
in the early
They're
morning
good.
hours
They're good,
for,
yeah.
to hunt through the record bands.
Yeah.
So that'll start off about 9 in the morning, and in the afternoon is when the live music will start, and that should wrap up about 6 o'clock. And get bands coming from all over the place, including as far away as Italy.
Yay.
Terrific.
Wow.
So there's that.
A jazz festival.
Yeah,
So you said that was February 5th at 10 a.m.?
February 10th, Sunday.
Oh, February.
One other event that's not here that I'm hoping has ended up in your inbox, and if it hasn't, I'll push harder to make it get out there. On Saturday, February 9th, the day before the Rock and Roll Flea Market, here at City Hall, from 10 a.m. to 12 noon is going to be a commissioner's workshop. I know some of you participated in one in the past. This is a two-focus event. The first part of the workshop will be a review of the Brown Act, presented by City Attorney Rose Zimmerman. And then the second part is a social opportunity for commissioners from all the different commissions in the city, commissions and boards, to get together in one place to interact and break bread and get to know one another. So again, that's Saturday, February 9th, here in the training room at City Hall from 10 a.m. to 12 noon.
Okay.
And looking at, no one's acknowledging that they've heard of this event. You haven't got invited yet?
February 9,
Oh,
10
wow.
a.m. to 12 noon.
I'll make sure we get those invites out tomorrow. That'll be coming from someone in the city manager's office.
Okay.
We'll be sending that out. We do have the space reserved and we're ready to go. Okay. And for all the events on the script, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Denise Brown, Recreation Services Manager.
Okay. Hey, Dee.
Thank you. So on Saturday, February 16th, we have the 27th Annual Black History Month celebration at Cafe Dolger at 101 Lake Merced Boulevard from 12 noon to 3 p.m. There's no entrance fee, and there's going to be some great entertainment and food. Keith's Chicken and Waffles is going to be the vendor for food.
Daly City's own.
Daly City's own. On Saturday, February 23rd, the supporters of Dolger Senior Center, Inc. is having their annual crab feed, and it's, again, going to be at the Cafe Dolger. The doors open at 12 noon. There is a no-host bar, a 50-50 raffle, and door prizes. If you are a member of the supporters of Dolger Senior Center, you pay $50, and if you're a non-member, you pay $55, and there's still some seats available. I just spoke with Opal today. Fun Health and Safety Fair will be on Saturday, March 2nd at Ceremony Center from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're going to have free health screenings and information not only from our department, but we have about 30-plus tables of community partners and organizations. And this is an opportunity for us to kind of jumpstart the summertime and get everybody engaged in what we offer for summer and upcoming programs, events, and special events. So come on down, community, to Ceremony Center, do some shopping, and get to know the community organizations. On Saturday, April 13th, I'm giving you these dates in advance because I want you to come to everything. The Spring Fun Day will be happening at Westlake Park. It's a new location. It used to be at TR Policita, but we're trying a new spot at Westlake Park. Registration starts at 10 a.m. It's a free event for youth, 5 through 12, I believe it is, the age group, or 1 through 12 should be, really. There's games, activities, and an egg hunt. Always a fun event, and always one of the most beautiful days. Active Adult Senior Resource and Fitness Fair is on Thursday, May 23rd. That's another event that we provide for the active adult and seniors. It's at the Pacelli Event Center. It's in the gymnasium. We have 9:30 a.m. to 12 noon. Again, it's a free event. There's resource and community vendors. There's free health screenings and instructor-led fitness exercise and activities. A great opportunity for all the seniors to come out and socialize and, you know, get to know their friends and new friends.
And maybe Cynthia can join us.
Cynthia, yes.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's what's going on up through May.
That's a full calendar. Yeah,
Perfect.
thank you.
Can we receive this? I remember you sent it to me one time with all the remember all the celebrations by email.
I can send it to you.
Yes. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great, great. And,
Because then I go just to that email.
yeah. Before we close, would there be any remaining comments from the dais that we'd like to share for the general public going forward? Okay, well, again, welcome back to the new year, folks. It's, as you can tell right off the bat, it's going to be a busy time of activities for you that looks like a ton of them are free, so participate in them. And our next meeting is going to be Tuesday, February 26th, here at the same room and chamber. And so if no further comment, do I have a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting?
I move that the
Second.
meeting be adjourned.
Second? Okay, those in favor of adjourning this evening meeting, do say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.